Ahoy there, Ryan Foland. I am in Santa Monica, here overlooking the 3rd Street Promenade. It is gorgeous, and I wanted to share some stories today and also help you figure out how to get your ship together, okay? First, bear with me for a second. I want you to think back to when you were in middle school, okay? Think about middle school. What kind of clothes did you wear? What kind of shoes did you wear? What kind of people did you hang out with? What kind of sports were you into? What kind of a kid were you? Okay. Now I want you to transition your thought to what you were like in high school. I was a wrestler and a pole vaulter, and I was very competitive, and I was a hockey fanatic, and that's it. I was skateboarding and playing hockey and doing all kinds of crazy stuff, and might have had my tongue pierced and other things pierced. But I want you to think of who you were in high school. Now, think about how you were in college, right? What type of college student were you? What kind of social activities were you involved with? How were you being perceived into the world? And now, I want you to think about yourself right now, right here, right now. The person that you are, the person that you're proud of, the people who know you as this person. I want you to think, if you're anything like me, there are some big differences between Ryan as a as a ginger getting made fun of and being bullied in middle school, to being competitive and very active in sports and hockey and go Kings. And then in college, it was hard to find me in anything other than sandals and board shorts on my skateboard, going to classes or surfing. And now I find myself in a more professional scene. I work at a major university. I've got a startup. I love to do things that are active out in the wilderness, like sailing, right? So why am I making you go through all of these memories? The reason is because even though at these different points in your life, you have different characteristics, you have different personalities, really, like you dress differently, it's all you at the end of the day. It's you in 6th grade, it's you in high school, it's you in college, and it's you now today. And that you is what people are calling your personal brand. It's nothing more than how you look and how you are perceived in the world. And what I want you to understand and really kind of like internalize is that your brand is something that's fluid. It's like the ocean, and it just continues to move. As you gain experience, as you gain education, as you have ups and downs, you as a person, you're going to learn more, and you're going to adjust your course, and you're going to change. So myself, I've been really evaluating, looking at my brand and my target market and the fun stuff that I've been doing. And I'm trying to now find this way to continue with this evolution of my brand. And if you think about it, you are your brand, and your brand is always going through some sort of evolution. And why don't we call it a brandvolution? So everyone goes through this brandvolution, and I'm going to be transparent in the process, and I'm going to be sharing how I'm transitioning my brand just slightly as I'm evaluating the data, seeing what's going on so that I can make sure that I'm building everything correctly and then I have the right team involved. So that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about how to basically what I call check the charts to make sure you're on the right path. And then secondly, it's about getting your ship together, and that's building the boat with the essential tools that you need. And then finally, you've got to make sure you have the right crew. So I'm going to step you through this process, and over the next year, you're going to see me going through this process. And so hopefully I can serve as an inspiration or a guide to help you represent yourself the best that you can for your goals. And let's get going. The first thing that you need to make sure you do is check the charts. What do I mean by checking the charts? Let's take the sailing analogy, right? And when you're sailing, you have got to figure out what your coordinates are now, what you want, where you want to go, and then how to sort of connect the dots to get there. So when it comes to your brand, right, and what you are doing, look at your charts. Imagine that you have a map. Now, if you were to look at my chart, yes, for parts of my years, I've been all over the place. But about 3 or 4 years ago, 5 years ago, I really started to focus on sailing towards the island that had entrepreneurs. have a huge place in my heart for startups. I mean, I have a startup, and I just think it's an amazing thing. So a lot of my content and a lot of my talks, speaking around the world, was catered towards this demographic of entrepreneurs. And what I've been doing with checking the charts is looking back at these dots and how they're connected. And what's great about social media and the digital exhaust that you actually create when you share stuff is that you get data and you get analytics. So on this chart, I see the data. I see the content that's doing the best. I see the tweets that are the most popular. I see which stick figure drawings resonate the most. And because I'm now sort of making this transition, and I'm transitioning my boat to steer a little bit more towards islands with people who are really, I'm finding, resonating with my content. And that transition for me is more towards the executives. And this has sort of happened just by the fact of being in business. And we've had executives that have reached out to us, and we work with people that are executives of these like high-level companies, and we're helping them to establish who they are and helping them to create a digital exhaust that they're proud of, which leads back to more business. So checking the charts, see where you have been, see where you want to go, and then adjust your compass course accordingly. And so I'm excited because I'm using all of my experience in the startup world with entrepreneurs as a foundation, as a stepping stool to get to the next level for me and my brand, which is working more with that executive crowd, with these larger companies, speaking around the world at companies and helping executives in the C-suite. So like, I'm excited about that. Don't worry, startups, I'm not forgetting you, right? But it's because I've been actually moving and sailing, I can check the charts. So check your charts and see where you've gone, look at the data, look at the analytics, look at the kinds of content that's really been resonating, and start to follow the money, right? Find out where you want to go. The treasure is on an island, and you just have to go there. So that's checking the charts. All right, the next thing that I want you to understand is that you've got to get your ship together. Yes, get your ship together, right? This is a little sabot here that I'm piecing together. I've got my rope, I've got the mast on the ground, the boat is just there. And you need to think about the tools that you have, the technology that you have, as really the elements that you need to really build a boat that's going to sail you to where you want to go. So an example would be the fact that I want to do some more Facebook Live videos. Ta-da! And so I had to buy the technology. I had to buy the microphones. I actually sacked up and got a brand new iPad Pro. I want to take my drawings to the next level. And for a while, I've just been doing Sharpie marker on a piece of paper. I take a picture. I have to make sure it's good lighting. And then I blow out the contrast. And then I crop it. And then I have to save it. And there's so many steps in that. And so what I've decided to do is go digital with it. And so I've got the iPad Pro, and I can do it. And I'm starting to brand all of them so they look a little bit similar, right? Using this boat analogy, if you were making a slight change in your course, there might be different types of waters, there might be different types of wind, you might need different types of sails. And those sails could be the content that you're creating on different platforms, right? You could have different safety equipment as far as backups upon backups. Because I was on a podcast the other day with Lou Diamond, and his initial technology didn't record the podcast. But guess what? He had a backup. And that's like having a safety raft on your boat. So really, before you get too far out there into the open ocean, you need to make sure that you have your ship together. And if you notice, look at my ship's getting together more because I've got my new drawing here and it's got the branding on the sides, which is brand new, which if you can't tell, I'm pretty excited about. Okay, so we've checked the charts, we've looked at the data, we're building our ship to get our ship together so that we have the tools and technology to spread this message that we want. And the final step is probably one of the most important, and it's having the right crew on board. Now this is really important because as you start to build and grow, you have this tendency to think, hey, I can do this all myself, right? And we've all been there. And that's exactly how I've really built my brand, is basically being scrappy and doing things myself. But I'm realizing that as I'm scaling, I have to bring in other people who are more of an expert than I am in certain areas. And I'll give you a couple examples. But the point here is that as you build your brand and you continue to grow, you need to get help. And you've got to get help from people who are specialized in what they do. I am super excited about spreading my message through speaking. And I've had an amazing opportunity to speak all around the world, and I'm excited to continue to do that. But I can't get to that level I want without learning from somebody who's actually doing that and more. And I recently connected with Josh Linkner. Check him out, joshlinkner.com. And I went to his 3-ring circus boot camp, an all-day boot camp for speakers. And I'm the first one to admit that I have a lot to learn. And that's why I love my podcast, World of Speakers. If you're not following my podcast or subscribing or whatever, go to worldofspeakers.com. We've got tons of great speakers from around the world, and I interview them because selfishly, I want to learn how to become a better speaker. So Josh is now sort of on my boat. When I was there, I met a guy named Jeff Ponders, and now we have this accountability meeting each Monday. We're keeping each other on track, right? When it comes to my images, they are fun to draw, but they're all over the place. The brand's not there. I'm not sure. And when I think of the person that's the best when it comes to images, I think of Rebecca Radish. And so I reached out to her, and I've seen her speak at Social Media Marketing World 3 different times. I met her in person finally. We're Twitter homies. And I said, look, can you help me with my images? And she was actually really receptive to it. And she's now giving me guidance. She told me to come up with 3 basic frames. And essentially from that point, you can then build off of that. So as you see all my stick figures, pretty soon moving forward, check it out. You're going to see the branding on the top and the bottom, the branding on the upper right and lower left, and then the branding on the upper left and lower right. And so what's really cool about this is that by having her help me, all of a sudden it's like, this aha moment. It's the same way that I went to Leonard Kidd, my business partner, when I first started to try to build my brand, and he basically was my mentor and helped me become the case study that I am. And so you have to understand that as you continue to grow, you've got to bring in the pros. And I want to be that pro for someone else on their journey when it comes to crafting their brand story and creating compelling thought leadership that drives results and creates inbound marketing and helping these large corporations tap into the internal influence that they have with people already, but empowering them with the tools and the strength to share what's going on with them. Because I feel as you build your employees, you build your internal influence. Again, and I'm going to go back to where I started with the speaking. I interviewed Nick Morgan on my podcast. I got super geeked out. I read all of his books, his Harvard Business Reviews. He's buddies with Josh. He trained Josh, and so I hired him to help me. So I've hired one of the most respected communication coaches so that I can get better at what I need to do so that I can focus on my one core strength and my one focus, which is helping executives build better brands. Now, startups and entrepreneurs, they can still grab the content, they can still hear me talk and listen to the stuff, but I'm making this slight turn, and that's pretty exciting. So I've got these new people on my boat, and it's so freeing because not all the pressure's on me. I don't know anything about Pinterest, and I'm not on Pinterest, but Rebecca is going to help me learn how to crush it on Pinterest, right? Josh and Nick, they're going to help me learn how to up my honorarium and get in front of these more corporate audiences and learn how to get in front of the bureaus. And it's really just a matter of thinking, who can you bring on your boat? So these are the 3 things that I'm going to be going through, I'm actively going through, and I'm excited to bring you along with me. And just to recap, okay, the first thing you need to do to get your ship together is to check the charts and find that data that helps you make good decisions about who you're targeting for your market and what your business is going to be like. And then get your ship together and build the components and have the technology that you need so that you have no excuse to get the work done that you need to do to prove that you are the expert that people are going to want to seek out. And finally, have the right crew on board. And again, this is so exciting because once you start to invest in other experts to help you out, it helps you focus on your expertise. So with that being said, hopefully that didn't come across as a ramble as much as it is just a very transparent conversation about evaluating where you are now and how you're going to transition that as you change, as your career changes, as you become more and more of an expert. So actually it's a Brandsition and a Brandvolution. Okay, this has been a lot of fun. If you do want to connect with me, you can check out my website, ryanfolan.com. Check out Influence Tree and connect with me on social, right? I live on Twitter. I love being on Twitter. I'm on Facebook here. I'm trying to get more used to it. Instagram, you'll start seeing more of my unique, branded, consistent drawings. And on LinkedIn, definitely reach out. I love to post and stay updated on LinkedIn. And then there's ryanfolan.com. So other than that, guys, I'm going to do one final goodbye here from Santa Monica. This has been fun, and I hope that you got something out of it. Leave a comment below. Let me know what you think about your transition and where you're at. And let me know if you need help. You can always email me, ryan@ryanfolan.com. All right, everybody, peace out, and we will see you soon.